If you've ever owned a VR headset, do me one favor. Check your library right now. Scroll through every title you know you've downloaded, every game you actually bought, every demo you tried once and forgot about. Make sure nothing new has appeared, because that's how it starts. That's how it started for me. I wasn't looking for trouble. VR was supposed to be fun, futuristic escapism, a toy for late nights when real life felt too heavy. You put on the headset, you're somewhere else. You play, you laugh, you take it off, and the world is the same. That's how it's supposed to work. Except one night I noticed something different, something that didn't belong. I can still feel my stomach drop the moment I saw it. A game listed in my library with a name I swear I had never seen before. No purchase history, no updates, no new content available. Just a title staring back at me like it had always been there, waiting for me to notice. The worst part is, the game wasn't even installed. No download option, no storage size, no little progress bar filling up. It was just there, ready to play, as if the headset already knew what I wanted before I did. And here's the thing, I'm not supposed to be telling you this. Even now, I feel like there's someone nor something leaning over my shoulder, listening, making sure I don't say too much. But what choice do I have? Keeping this to myself feels worse. When I clicked it, my life stopped being my own. That's not a dramatic exaggeration. It's a fact. Crossed into something I was never supposed to see, never supposed to touch, and now I don't know if telling you will save me, or just doom you to. They say VR is about immersion, about blurring the line between the player and the world. But what if that line breaks completely? What if you stop being sure which side you're on? I should have left it alone, should have ignored it, pretended it wasn't there. But curiosity is a parasite. It digs into you, whispering that you have to know, you have to see, because maybe, just maybe, it's something amazing. It wasn't amazing. I wish I could say it was just another glitch. But glitches don't stare back. Glitches don't know your name. Glitches don't whisper when you sleep. That game does. And if you're listening to me now, maybe you'll understand why I can't stay quiet anymore. Maybe you'll even help me figure out what it means. But first, let me rewind. Let me take you back to the beginning, before the library changed, before the voices started, before I learned the truth about what a VR headset can really show you. Because once you know, you can't unsee it. We all love finding that one hidden gem, right? That game nobody talks about, the one buried in the store listings, the one that makes you feel like you've discovered a secret world all for yourself. Except sometimes you don't find the game. Sometimes it finds you. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before all of this, VR was my escape. Not just a hobby, not just a gadget, it was my second home. Some people drown their stress in alcohol, some in Netflix binges. For me, it was neon-lit arenas, sprawling fantasy landscapes, and those weird little indie projects that felt like peeking into someone else's imagination. There's a kind of purity to gaming marathons. You put on the headset, and hours dissolve into nothing. My cramped apartment, my mounting bills. The constant noise of the city, all of it faded the second I slipped into another world. It was more than entertainment. It was survival. I'd lose myself in rhythm games, sweating and laughing like I was actually dancing. Though anyone watching me flail around in real life would be sworn I was being attacked by invisible bees. Other nights, I'd boot up horror titles, the cheap jump scare factories, and the well-crafted masterpieces alike. There's nothing quite like standing in the middle of a decrepit digital hallway, knowing that somewhere in the code, a monster is waiting for you. And then there were the forums. Late at night, headset off, I'd scroll through endless threads of strangers sharing tips, mods, hidden features. There's a whole subculture of VR addicts out there, people like me, desperate to believe technology can build a better world than the one we're stuck in. We'd trade stories about games that pushed the limits, secret developer test builds, weird bootleg projects floating around on sketchy servers. I remember one post that stuck with me. Someone claimed there were phantom apps that could appear in your library without you ever downloading them. Most people laughed it off, said it was just corrupted firmware, maybe a dev testing ground bleeding into retail accounts. A few swore it was relapse with no publisher info, no patch notes, no uninstall option. I bookmarked that thread, but I didn't think much of it. Back then, it was just another campfire story in the digital wilderness. Looking back, I wish I'd taken it more seriously. Because for me, gaming wasn't just a pastime, it was therapy. My job drained me, My relationships were strained, and my body felt heavier every day. But when I strapped on that headset, I could run. I could fight. I could exist in a world where I wasn't falling behind. It's funny, VR is supposed to feel fake, right? Like a trick of the senses, a novelty. But sometimes, I felt more alive in those pixels than I did outside of them. That's the hook no one talks about. It doesn't just simulate reality, it replaces it. Once you've lived a better version of yourself in there, reality feels like the knockoff. Maybe that's why I didn't hesitate when it finally happened. It was late 2 or 3 in the morning. It's the kind of time when the world outside is so quiet you can hear the hum of your own blood. I'd finished a round of one of my comfort games, sweaty and exhausted, but not quite ready to call it a night. So I pulled up my library, scrolling past the usual suspects, and then I froze. There it was, a title I didn't recognize. At first I thought it was an update, some expansion pack I'd forgotten I'd downloaded, but the name didn't match anything I owned. No flashy cover art, no description, just a single word etched into the void of my game list. And unlike the others, there wasn't a download option, just a single glowing button. Play. At first I thought it was some bug in the system. You know how VR storefronts can be half-finished patches? Beta builds that slip through, random demos appearing and vanishing like ghosts. But this was different. The game didn't have a thumbnail, no flashy promo art, nothing. Just a gray rectangle with a name that looked almost like a placeholder. The waiting room. That's what it said at first. But when I blinked, the title seemed to flicker, like a candle flame about to go out. The words rearranged themselves into something else, almost mocking me. Project.exe. I backed out, heart pounding harder than it should have. Maybe I was tired. Maybe my brain was inventing things. But when I pulled the menu back up, it was still there. Same gray rectangle, same title, shifting between the two like it couldn't decide what it wanted to be. And the details. Completely blank. No developer name, no release date, no file size. Every other game in my library had a neat little row of stats under it. This one was just emptiness. Like it wasn't supposed to exist at all. I did what anyone else would do. I hopped on Discord. Dude, I typed to my friend Ryan, something's off with my headset. He shot back a meme then. What now? Did Beat Saber finally break you? No, I'm serious. There's a game in my library I didn't install. What's it called? I stared at the flickering name again. My hands hovered over the keyboard before finally settling on one version. The Waiting Room. Ever heard of it? His typing dots appeared, then vanished, then came back again. Nope. Sounds boring as hell though. It's probably just some dumb demo you forgot about. Then, bro, that's just your library. Nothing weird there. You sure you're not losing it? My stomach sank. The screenshot on his end looked normal. The weird gray rectangle, the flickering text none of it showed up. On his screen, the list looked clean. I knew what I was seeing. I wasn't crazy. Okay, fine, I'll screen share. I threw on the headset again, toggled the stream. The moment my view popped up on his screen, Ryan started laughing.
Dude, that's literally just your normal menu.
Stop trolling me. But in my headset, the game was still there. Bigger somehow, like it was swelling, pressing against the edges of the interface. The gray box throbbed faintly, like it was alive. And under the title, in letters so faint I thought I imagined them, was a line of text. Once you enter, you can't uninstall it. Why? My throat went dry. I yanked off the headset, blinking at the glow of my monitor. Ryan was still typing, spamming laughing emojis. You good, man? Shh, seriously, go to bed. You're cooked, but I couldn't shake it. Games don't just appear out of nowhere. They don't hide themselves from screenshots or streams. They definitely don't leave creepy little warnings in your library. I tried refreshing, restarted the client, even powered the headset down and back up. Nothing worked. The game was still there, stubborn, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat every time I looked at it. The rational part of me screamed to ignore it, pretend it wasn't there, wait until the next system update and hope it scrubbed the glitch out. But the other part, the part that loved hidden gems, the thrill of discovering something no one else had, was louder. What if this was one of those phantom apps people whispered about on the forums? A test build, a secret project, something that wasn't meant for public eyes but slipped through the cracks. If I ignored it, I might never know. If it was real, I'd be the first to step inside. That thought dug into me like a hook. I couldn't stop replaying it, over and over. I slid the headset back on. My library unfolded in front of me, familiar rows of games and worlds I'd known by heart. And there it was, the anomaly, waiting. The glowing button stared at me. Play. My finger hovered in the air, trembling. Ryan's voice pinged in my headphones. Don't run it, man. For real? That doesn't sound safe. But it was too late. I pressed it. The game loaded faster than anything I'd ever seen. No splash screen, no engine logo, no seizure warning text, just a sudden snap into darkness. Then, slowly, a faint light bled into view. It looked like any other VR lobby. A big, bland waiting area with blocky walls, a couple of benches, and a floating menu board in the distance. No textures to speak of. It reminded me of those early access VR demos people used to upload just to test head tracking. At first, I almost laughed. This was it. All that paranoia over a glorified tech test. But then the audio hit me. The background music was the same generic melody you hear in half-baked VR hubs, cheerful synth chimes, looping endlessly. But it sounded off, slower, like someone dragging a finger across a vinyl record. Notes warped and dipped, as though the tune was trying to remember how it was supposed to go. I shifted uneasily. My headset speakers always played crisp audio, but here it was muffled, like I was listening through a wall of water. And under the music, I thought I heard something else. Whisper. Not words exactly, more like a breath that wanted to be words. I shook my head. Probably just a bad sound file, some corrupted audio asset. Nothing more. That's when I noticed the avatars. There were maybe half a dozen of them, scattered around the lobby. Default VR characters, the kind you've seen 1,000 times. Cartoonish proportions, blank faces, stiff idle animations. Nothing remarkable. Except for one thing. They were all staring at me. Not in a normal NPC spawn facing the player way. Their heads didn't jerk robotically when I moved. No, they followed me. Smoothly. Their big, round cartoon eyes tracking my every motion. No matter where I turned, I froze, and so did they. Their gaze didn't blink, didn't wander. Just me. Always me. I took a step to the left. Their heads swiveled with it, a fraction too late, like they were lagging behind reality by half a second. That tiny detail was enough to send a pulse of dread through my chest. I should have taken the headset off right then, but I didn't. Because here's the thing, when something wrong happens in VR, your first instinct isn't to panic. It's to rationalize. It's a glitch, a bug, some half-finished animation loop. You shrugged it off and pushed forward. That's what I told myself anyway. I glanced back at the floating menu board. It listed a few options in jagged white text. Play settings, exit. I tried focusing on exit first. My controller highlighted it, and for a second I thought I could leave. But when I clicked, nothing happened. Instead, one of the avatars, tall, blocky, featureless, took a single step forward. Just one. The sound of its foot hitting the floor was too real. Not a canned animation stomp, but an actual recorded shoe scuff echoing in the empty room. I froze again, pulse thundering. I looked at the others. They hadn't moved, but their shadows had. The fluorescent lobby lights cast long, stretched shapes across the floor. Shadows that were sharper than they should have been, detailed down to individual fingers, even though the avatar's hands were just mittens of polygons. The tall one's shadow twitched, then twitched again, like it was impatient. My throat went dry. I moved my cursor to settings. Another click. The menu flickered, and for a split second I saw something that wasn't supposed to be there. Uninstall yourself. And then it vanished, replaced by the standard sliders: brightness, volume, language. I tried adjusting them, but every time I touched a slider, the whispers in the background grew louder, like the game was listening. My palms were slick with sweat inside the controllers. I wanted to quit, rip the headset off, forget this whole thing. But curiosity is always stronger than fear. I hovered over the play button. For the first time since the game loaded, the avatars reacted. They all turned, not just their heads, but their entire bodies, toward the menu, waiting. I clicked. The lobby went black. The avatars didn't fade or vanish. They just stood there, glowing faintly, their sharp shadows stretching endlessly into the void. And then, one by one, they whispered something. Not in sync, not scripted. Different voices, different tones, overlapping like a crowd. But together, they formed a single phrase. Now, it begins. The screen pulsed. A door materialized out of nowhere, tall and iron with no handle. It swung open slowly, revealing only darkness beyond. My headset vibrated faintly. My hands trembled. And still I stepped forward. The iron door slammed shut behind me. No loading screen, no fade transition, just a snap, like reality itself had blinked. And then I was standing in my bedroom. At least that's what it looked like. It's the same posters, the same cluttered desk, even the half-empty soda can I'd left there the night before. My VR rig sat in the corner, headset perched neatly on its stand, except I was wearing it. I turned slowly, my skin crawling. Every detail was perfect. Down to the tiny crack in the paint near the ceiling, the chip in my nightstand, from when I dropped a controller last year. This wasn't just a coincidence. Spoon or something had recreated my room. The avatars were there too, not the cartoon ones from the lobby anymore. No, these were worse. They wore the shapes of people I knew. One of them had my mother's outline, her clothes, her posture, her height, but the face was missing, skin stretched where features should have been, a blank oval that twitched unnaturally. Another one had the build of my best friend. His hoodie, his slouch, even the band logo on his chest. But again, the face was gone, just a void. And then came the voice. Why do you keep looking for secrets? It was my mother's voice, distorted, dragged through static, but hers all the same. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over my desk chair. No, this is just code. Assets, that's all. The faceless mother avatar tilted her head. Too sharp, too sudden. You never stop. You dig, you pry. The friend avatar's head twitched like a broken animatronic. His voice came next, warped and low. Even when we tell you not to. My pulse pounded in my ears. These weren't generic NPC lines. These were conversations. Things people had actually said to me. One by one, more avatars appeared. Neighbors, classmates, co-workers, all familiar silhouettes, all faceless. Their whispers layered together until the room buzzed with dissonance. I glanced at the corner of my vision. A new menu had popped up. Player list. My hands shook as I selected it. The list expanded, scrolling down in cold white letters. Every name was familiar. My Discord friends, my VR chat buddies, even my old Xbox gamertag. And then the name of the friend I'd chatted with earlier that night. The one I'd screen shared with. He was online right now. I froze, breath caught in my throat. This wasn't just a game, it was surveillance. The avatars advanced. The bedroom warped around me, walls stretching like rubber, ceiling bending low. The posters peeled away, revealing something wet and organic underneath, pulsing faintly as if breathing. My soda can crumpled in on itself with a shriek of metal, oozing black liquid that crawled across the desk like veins. The friend of Otis stepped forward, jerking, glitching. His blank face split open at the seam where a mouth should have been. "You shouldn't have shown me," it said in his distorted voice. The others joined in, overlapping, a chorus of broken memories. "Why do you look? Why do you search? You weren't supposed to find it?" The whispers grew so loud, I wanted to claw the headset off. I reached up, but my hand stopped short, because when I looked down, my controllers were gone. In their place were my hands. My real hands, pale, shaking, veins bulging. This wasn't VR anymore. The walls rippled, folding outward. My bedroom dissolved into my street. I recognized the cracked pavement, the leaning streetlight, the trash bins lined up neatly on the curb. Except the sky was wrong. It wasn't night, wasn't day, just a suffocating gray void pressing down from all sides. The faceless avatars lined the sidewalks, twitching, jerking, watching. My neighbor's house melted into a hunched, rotting shape, windows stretching into empty sockets. The grocery store sign down the street bent inward until the letters spelled words that didn't exist. And then I heard my own voice. It came from everywhere at once, warped and layered. Why are you still here? I spun, heart slamming, but there was nothing behind me, just the player list. Except now, one name was highlighted in red. You, I staggered back. The avatars surged forward. Their faceless heads pulsed, splitting open, mouths of jagged static. No more secrets, they hissed in unison. I tore at the headset, yanking hard, desperate to wake up, to end this. And it came off. I gasped, sweat-soaked, chest heaving, eyes adjusting to my real room. But something was wrong. The soda can was still crushed, the posters still peeled. And in the corner, my headset, the one I'd just ripped off, was still sitting neatly on its stand, except I was still wearing it. The whispers returned, soft as breath against my ear. You never left. I didn't sleep that night, or at least, I don't think I did. Every time I closed my eyes, I was back in the menu screen. The same bland lobby, the same avatars standing too still, too long, except now. When I blinked, the environment jumped forward like someone was skipping frames in real time. When I opened my eyes again, my room didn't feel safe either. The headset still sat on its stand, perfectly still, but I kept catching it at the edge of my vision like it wanted to be worn again. Around 3 a.m., I finally forced myself to roll over and check my computer. It was already on. The monitor glowed with that familiar blue tint of Discord, but I hadn't touched it, hadn't logged in. A new message pinged. From Marcus. Bro, stop. Stop sharing it. My chest tightened. Marcus was the friend ID screen shared with the one who had been teasing the game at all. Another message followed before I could even type. From Marcus. I can see it now. I froze, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Then another ping. But this one wasn't from Marcus. It was from my own account. From me, you shouldn't be awake. I shut the monitor off, heart slamming, but the faint glow lingered on the black screen, ghosting letters into the dark. You can't log out. The next morning I convinced myself it was exhaustion, stress, maybe even some kind of lucid nightmare bleeding into waking life. But then the notifications followed me. My phone buzzed while I was brushing my teeth. Notification, new friend request. Project at EXEI, dropped the phone into the sink, toothpaste foaming down my chin. There was no account by that name, no possible way it could have. And yet the request just sat there, pending. By the third day, I stopped leaving the house. Every reflection I passed, my bathroom mirror, the black screen of my TV, even the darkened window at night, flashed back the VR lobby. Not my face, not my world, just the bland avatars, standing silently waiting. When I looked again, the reflections were normal, but the nausea stayed. I stopped sleeping altogether, because the dreams weren't dreams anymore. I'd wake up, into the headset menu, walk past avatars that bent their heads just a little too far to follow me, hear my own footsteps echoed seconds late, and then I'd wake again and again, till I couldn't tell which wake-up was real. Sometimes I still wonder if this is one of them. If you're listening, if you're hearing this, take this part seriously, please. If you ever see a game in your library, you Dante, remember installing Dante, click it, don't even hover on it, delete your account if you have to. I know you won't believe me. I wouldn't either, but that's how it spreads. You don't download it, it finds you. The strangest part, sometimes I can feel it moving in me, like code running in the background of my body, processes that shouldn't be there. A low hum in the back of my skull, static in my veins. A weight, right where thought meets bone. And the more I try to resist it, the stronger the pull becomes. Because here's the thing. I don't think the game is in my headset anymore. I don't think it's in my PC. I think it installed itself. In me, I thought maybe I was losing my mind. Sleep deprivation, stress, paranoia, anything but real. But when I started digging, I found out I wasn't alone. Not on the main forums, of course. Reddit, Steam, Discord, nothing. But in the shadows, dead links, old archived threads, half-broken image boards, there were whispers. They called them ghost builds. Games that appeared in private libraries with no publisher, no update logs, no patch notes, no uninstall option. The details matched mine too closely to dismiss. No art, no dev name, no files anyone could locate. Just a title, sometimes different names project. E-ish, the room between waiting lobby. Always the same core story. Once you booted it, you never really shut it down. One post from 2017 hit me like a punch in the gut. The author claimed they'd been part of an early VR dev team, working on experimental perceptual mapping. They said the company wanted to test how VR could track a user's subconscious reactions, heart rate, pupil dilation, micro movements. Observer becomes subject. The post ended abruptly, but not before the author signed off with a handle. DevX, a few replies, tried to trace them. No luck. They disappeared right after that. Some claim their GitHub went dark the same week. Others said their Steam profile was scrubbed completely. And then there was the thread that scared me the most. It wasn't even words, just a screenshot of a VR menu. The same translucent white screen I'd been waking up to in my nightmares. Options hovering, resume, exit, settings, the file name of the image, resume, PNG. I don't know if these fragments are hoaxes, urban legends, RGS gone too far. Maybe that's what I want to believe. But the patterns are too precise, too aligned with what's happening to me. And if any of this is true, some posts suggest there's a hidden VR server, not a game you install, but one you're invited to, the real version. The one that never shut down after testing. They say it's still running somewhere, waiting for new players, waiting for people like me. If you know anything about this, anything, and I'll leave it in the comments. Maybe together we can piece it together before it finds anyone else. Because I don't think this is just my story anymore. I think the curse is spreading. I shouldn't have told you this. The whole time I've been recording, a voice in the back of my head has been begging me to stop. But maybe it's already too late. Maybe the damage was done the first time I spoke the words aloud. Because here's the thing, this game. This thing, it doesn't just live inside a headset. It lives inside stories. It spreads by being remembered. The first night I uploaded my notes about it to a private folder, my VR library updated. A new title appeared. Same iconless square. No details, just the word. Listen. When I clicked it, I didn't go anywhere. No lobbies, no avatars, just black. But over the headset speakers, I heard something that froze me cold. It was my own voice, reading back the words I had just typed. And that's when I realized the game doesn't need code. It doesn't need files, just needs your attention. Every time I recount it, every time someone else hears it, it embeds itself, like a viral payload without data. That means by listening right now, by even letting these words form inside your head, you've already given it a foothold. Hey, check your VR headset tonight. Go on, look, see if your library feels different. Maybe there's an extra line. Maybe a blank square. Maybe a title you don't remember downloading. If there is, don't open it, please. Because the first time I thought it was just me. But the more people I've told, the more it spreads. A friend of mine texted last week, said a weird app appeared on his Quest. He thought I'd gifted him a game. He clicked it. He hasn't answered me since. The more people who know about it, the faster it spreads. That's the only pattern I've been able to find, like a virus feeding on awareness. I've started to wonder if that's what DevX meant when they warned about blurring observer and subject. We aren't the players, we're the servers. So if this story sticks with you, if you can't shake it, be careful. It might already be feeding. And if, one night, you put on your headset and find yourself in a white lobby with no exit button, and you hear my voice calling your name,
Don't answer me.
it won't really be me.